Hello everyone.
Hello.
Good evening. I am Piret Noorhani, Chief Archivist of the Museum of Estonians Abroad, VEMU in Toronto. And we are very happy to say tere.
Tere.
Töötundi to Tartu, Estonia, to Estonian National Museum, where our guide Anti Lillak and Kristjan Raba, both working at the Estonian National Museum, are with us. So it's a really very extreme event. No one had the courage before to perform 2 a.m. Estonian time. So you were the bravest so far. But we have a very special program today, which is actually a part of educational program of Estonian Music Week, which, as many of you may know, will start this Friday. The concerts will happen Friday and Saturday night, both live and online, so follow our webpage and Facebook pages. But we still, this time, also decided to offer some educational program for our people. And as one of the focuses for the festival this year is Finno-Ugric people and indigenous peoples of North America. We already had a couple of lectures and a conference on those topics, and more is coming. But today we are traveling virtually to Tartu, to ERM, Eesti Rahva Muuseum, Estonian National Museum, which has a grand history. The museum was founded in 1909, so which means that they celebrated their 112th birthday this past April. And as a big surprise, even the Estonian, the new building of Estonian National Museum celebrated its 5th birthday this beginning of October. So time really flies by quickly. And if you haven't had a chance to go to this amazing building, I would suggest next time you are going, you will be in Estonia, please do, because the building is really a gem of contemporary architecture, but also offering a great exhibits and a great program. So please visit the museum when the traveling becomes possible again. One of my favorite exhibits at the museum is exhibit dedicated to Finno-Ugric people. And I know I'm not the only one who loves especially this exhibit. And you could see more tours in Estonian language on Estonian National Museum's webpage. But for our special occasion, we asked our colleagues to prepare a short tour in English. And that's what Kristjan and Anti did. So thanks for networking, Kristjan. Thanks, Anti, for the tour. And I suppose we also need to thank some cameramen. Was it Maido Selgma or someone else? I don't know. But probably there were more team members at your museum who were part of this project. Kristjan, what do you say about that?
I can say that I'm really happy that this October has been a very special, the whole year has been very special in Estonia. We had this World Finno-Ugric Congress here, a big conference in June. But in October, I'm very happy that my colleague Anti has prepared this, a film actually, by himself. And this is very special for us because we have this online bridge between two countries, and to museums and people in Tartu and in Toronto. And this is, ocean is not so large. The bridge and the online connection is important between people.
Yeah, the world gets smaller thanks to Zoom and or the other internet sources. So the plan for tonight is, after this introduction, we will watch this pre-recorded tour. And after the tour, we have here Antti and Christian for Q&A.
Welcome to the Estonian National Museum's permanent exhibition, Echo of the Urals, which talks about the Finno-Ugric and Samoyedic peoples, the linguistic relatives of the Estonians. There are about 1 or 1.1 million Estonians in the world, which makes us a rather small numbered people. So it's good to know that we're not alone. We have relatives. And altogether, there are more than 20 different Finno-Ugric peoples in the world, with a total of 24 or 25 million people. What makes us relatives? The scientists have a theory that thousands of years ago there was a group of people speaking this ancestral language of contemporary Finno-Ugric languages. They lived somewhere near the Ural mountain range, which divides Asia and Europe. And as smaller groups went to different directions, they lost contact with each other, but started to communicate with the other peoples they met on their way. So the languages became different from each other. And nowadays it may be really difficult to understand each other. Still, the linguists have found out some very essential similarities in these languages, like, for example, similarities in grammatical structure and some mutual vocabulary, as in verbs, numbers, also about nature and humans' body parts.
Sai. Seim. Sei. Sev. Shincha. Senza. San. Sam. Sen. Sielma. Seima. She. She. Jalmi. Silma. 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 Silm. Silma. Silma.
Estonians, Finns and Hungarians have their own state, but this is not the case with the rest of the Finno-Ugric peoples. Most of them live in nowadays Russian Federation, also Livonians in the Republic of Latvia, and the Samis in 4 countries: Norway, Sweden, Finland and Russia. So we introduce those people without their own state, and show here in the exhibition more about their traditional culture and way of life, as it was nearly 100 or more years ago. Tjoram, we have come to the home of a Komi family. The Komis live in the northeastern part of Europe, in the Russian Federation, and their homeland lies from the thunders in the north through the vast forests up until the plains suitable for agriculture in the south. And the winters there can be really harsh. Thus it's simply essential to have warm log houses with large ovens. And the men have traditionally been hunters and trappers very often, thus spending a lot of time out in the wild. And the duty of keeping the household in order has lied on the shoulders of women. The place in front of the oven is reserved for the family members. So whoever visits the home must know where to go and what not to do. But don't get me wrong, the Komis, as all the Finno-Ugric peoples, are very hospitable people and simply love to treat guests with their delicious homemade food. Sechpur. South of the Komis live the Udmurts, a hard-working people whose main activities have traditionally been animal husbandry and growing crops in the fields. Linguistically, Komis and Udmurts are also quite similar. Next to me is an Udmurt bride who is prepared to live her old life full of freedom and choice, and from now on she must take care of her family, children and the whole household. Weddings form a so-called threshold in many traditional cultures. So whereas a woman takes a lot of responsibility from now on, she also has a step up in a social prestige, because the married women and men have the most to say in the traditional village society, which still plays a big part in these cultures, especially in the countryside. Salam Lija. While the bride was an Udmurt, then the bride's groom here is a Mari, a member of another Finno-Ugric people whose main villages lie near the great Volga river. The Maris can be considered as very temperamental people, and indeed their dances and songs are so full of life and soul. And some also say that they are the last pagans of Europe. Indeed, they have preserved many traditions, beliefs, rituals, and we can see from him that his shirt is decorated with very beautiful red ornaments, and they have a special meaning. It's to avoid the evil spirits and entities to enter his shirt, disturbing his life in such an important moment as the weddings. So the Mari traditional mythology is full of gods, deities and all kinds of spirits affecting our life for the good or for the bad. Shumbrat. Not far from the Maris live the Mordvins, or actually two different ethnic groups, the Erzias and the Mokshas, whose languages and cultures are very similar to each other, so they have also sometimes been named as one, as Mordvins, but they themselves keep these things separated. And they have been traditionally involved in agriculture, but the women have also been very skilled embroiderers, and the men beekeepers and wood carvers. And we can see here a young Persian woman with 2 linden barrels. The barrels are for keeping all these pieces of clothes, and it takes several hundreds of hours for a young girl to prepare these for her future marriage. Usually she has done it with the help of her friends, and the barrels are made and gave her by either her father or a future husband or a father of a future husband. And they also serve a practical purpose, because in case of a fire or other accident at home, only one person, maybe the woman herself, is able to roll the barrel out of the house, thus saving all this extremely hard work. I am in front of a small cottage, which in fact is familiar to most of the Estonians and many Finno-Ugric peoples in general. And it's a sauna, or to be more precise, an old-style smoke sauna. This sauna here belongs to a Karelian family. And Karelians are a Finno-Ugric people who live east of the present-day Finland, in the territory of Russian Federation. There are lots of similarities in Finnish and Karelian cultures. In old times, many Karelians were famous singers. Some of their songs have found their way to the Finnish and Karelian epic, Kalevala. But the love for the sauna and its positive sides is still alive, both in Karelians, but also other peoples living in this region. The traditional smoke sauna has dark, sooty walls and a stove in one corner. The stove doesn't have a chimney, so all the smoke must be first ventilated out before people can come in. And in old times, sauna wasn't only the place where to wash or relax, it could be also for magical rituals, and we will hear a love spell of a young Karelian girl. Perinch. There are not many Finno-Ugric peoples who live near the sea. Among Estonians and Finns, also Livonians belong to this list. And they have been fishermen and seafarers living on the coast of present-day Latvia. And this is why in our showcase here we can see also most of the items related to these activities. The number of Livonians nowadays is quite small. There are only about 200 or 300 people who identify themselves as Livonians, and the number of speakers of Livonian is even much smaller. But that doesn't mean that we should talk about extinction, because culturally they are very active. They publish books, all kinds of internet materials. They learn the language of their ancestors, and thus, even when they are few, they are still preserving their culture, language, and identity. Some Finno-Ugric peoples live in quite difficult ecological conditions. A life in the far north, with very cold and dark winters, simply requires special skills to survive. But these peoples, they don't only survive, but also feel good here and call these places their home. One such people is the Samis, the Arve. The Samis live in the territory that lies from the nowadays Norway, Sweden, Finland, and partly also Russia, so altogether 4 present-day countries. And because of the very wide area, there are numerous different dialects of Sami, or we can also say that they are different languages, because the speakers don't always understand each other. The Samis traditionally have been hunters, fishermen, handicraft makers, but also reindeer herders. And reindeer is a very important animal to the Samis even nowadays. Since a reindeer is a migratory animal, then the people have also been forced to adopt their lifestyle and be migratory too. The traditional Sami hut is very light and quite small, but the whole family fit in, because in the past people didn't need that much personal space around, as maybe we do. The lightness of the hut also served practical purposes, because, as mentioned, a reindeer is a migratory animal and moves between summer and winter pastures. And the people simply needed to follow as quickly as possible. And because of this, when it was already obvious that the reindeers were about to move to a new place, the family just packed their things as fast as possible and followed the herd of reindeers. Also, the interior part of the hut is very carefully divided into certain places. In the center, of course, there was a fireplace, but around them was a special place for the head of the household, the man, and the woman on the back side of the tent. And then there were special places for children and sometimes even servants. We can see a very small baby child inside too. Vushavula. Our trip around the Finno-Ugric world has come to the last place, and we have come in front of the home of a Hanti family. The Hantis and the Mansis live very far from the Estonian perspective, about 3,000 kilometers east from here, on the other side of the Ural mountain range, in the vast plainlands of Siberia. And their homeland is full of forests and also very swampy at parts. So the Hanti people have traditionally been hunters, fishermen, and also gatherers of various forest seeds and plants. And here we can see a Hanti family living inside. Here is a woman in red sitting and doing some kind of handicraft, usually of leather, fur, or birch bark, and of course doing all kinds of other necessary works too. Whereas her husband in blue is just lying in the background. Many ethnologists have thought that maybe the Hanti men were extremely lazy by their nature, but the reality is that the men have been hunters, hunting especially squirrels, sables and martens for their fur in the winter time, and these hunting trips could have taken weeks. When the man returns home, he's so exhausted that he simply needs some time to rest. And this is why we have also caught him on that moment. Also, the interesting fact about the hunters is that up until these days, the bear has been seen as a special creature. The oldest son of a main god, Num Torum, and for this reason, bear is worshipped. And in case a hunter kills a bear, then the bear is provided full funerary rites. People sing and dance to him and provide him delicious food in order to his soul not be very angry because of this accident. Because it's believed that the soul of the bear can reincarnate as a new bear and have vengeance on the hunter who killed him.
Okay, here we are again. Christian, would you also maybe switch your camera on so we can start our talk? Thank you. As I said before this screening, that actually the museum has more tours available on the website, because there are like different topics you could follow walking through the exhibit. So that was really like a quick overview of this very rich, informative exhibit. Everyone is free to raise a hand and ask a question. You can do it like writing in a chat box, or you can just switch on your mic and ask your question. But aren't you doing those tours to the real museum visitors too, right?
Yes, good evening. Indeed, the tours at that Finno-Ugric exhibition is like a frequent part of our everyday life, because although the exhibition itself is about 5 years old by now, then it is still beloved, and people come again and again.
Mm-hmm. So what are people's reactions? Because Estonians usually know that we are related to Finno-Ugrians. They might not know all the details about all the nations, but they basically have this view, I suppose. Or how does it look from like guides' perspective if you meet people there?
Mm-hmm. Since I mostly work with school children who come here to have some addition to their studies at school, then I very often ask them in advance which Finno-Ugric peoples do they already know before we enter the exhibition. And their knowledge is, well, limited, but they have the right direction already at hand. They know mostly the Finns, the Hungarians, and maybe like Samis, or even like other, at least some Finno-Ugric peoples and their names. But of course, these like details usually come as new, because although we, the Estonians, generally know at least the names of our linguistic relatives, then how have they lived comes very often as a surprise, as a new thing.
Mm-hmm. So anyone in the audience, do you have any questions already? Yeah, for those people who listened to Jaak Proose's lecture we had at the end of September, and the presentations at the conference, it was like a nice visual addition to those things they have heard already. We also watched the film Collegium Musicale made about like following those Veljo Tormi steps to the Baltic Finnic people. And you probably have seen the film, right, Antti?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So it's a quite a dramatic story, which gives you the feeling that not all those peoples, all those groups are not doing very well, as you said, told about the Livi people, that there are not too many of them, but they still try to struggle to keep their languages and cultures alive. So if you work together with other Finno-Ugric people, what are their responses to your exhibit?
For example, just this Sunday, a few days ago, I had an honor to guide a group of Livonian people throughout the exhibition. There is a lot of familiar things for them. They can even like watch the photos, old photos from the screens that come from the archives of our museum, from the field works of scientists, and they recognize familiar faces, or at least the ancestors of their friends and relatives maybe. And sometimes they comment, sometimes they say that one or another thing should be a bit different, because like in details you can also be like more precise than maybe we can, have offered on the exhibition. But this is only nice that it adds this perspective. Yes, like this, the topic that you mentioned, that the number of speakers and people who identify themselves as members of these peoples is declining, and it seems that the number is getting smaller and smaller. It's very familiar to all the Finno-Ugric peoples, and that itself doesn't come as a surprise for them.
Mm-hmm. Antti, were you involved in like preparing this exhibit, or you came in later when the exhibit was ready already?
I came in later. I was part of the team that prepared the other permanent exhibition, The Encounters, which tells about the Estonian way of life and history.
Mm-hmm. But maybe Christian can comment how the exhibit came to be.
So I was a little bit involved to the preparation and the room programming, and I should say that actually it was the long work and work for many years, because the exhibition has really shown. You can see there a lot of objects and material from the collection which are collected during very many years, during the field work to the Siberia, to the Finno-Ugric countries. And now it's not so easy to bring museum objects from the collections from Russia. But during 60s and 70s, I think it's a very outstanding position, and our museum somehow has a chance to do the films, to collect the very many anthropological material, and somehow it's, I think I should say this Echo of Urals, I think is one of the largest, I think the largest Finno-Ugric exhibitions in the world, because you can see something in Helsinki. There are quite good collection in St. Petersburg, but the access there is not so easy anymore. And in Budapest there is also exhibition, and the permanent exhibition, but that's all actually. And this 1,000 square meters is well designed, it's interesting designed, and I should say that the sound atmosphere, the landscape, the sound landscapes are also very important. I hope you listen that during the Antti Anti's talk, and it's also made by sound artist, Estonian sound artist Taavi Tulev. And if you compare a little bit,
Kids are too, because
sorry.
No, I just muted someone's mic here. Sorry.
Just to say that there are completely different design, the interior design, room design, if you compare Estonian permanent exhibition and Finno-Ugric exhibition, and somehow it's really a little bit more mysterious maybe, but I think families and youngsters really love even more Finno-Ugric exhibition, because it's like a fairy tale somehow, and it's interesting to walk as on the language tree, or you just pass by different rooms, and it's somehow a lot to discover, and it's designed by Velvet and with other partners, and there are approximately 100 who help to curate different topics from universities, and very many institutions helped us to do that.
Yeah, I would say that, as you mentioned, Christian, it's really very true that the atmosphere of the exhibit, this fairy tale kind of feel to that. If you go into this room with those sounds and this kind of darkness, which is well known to all the Nordic people, at least part of the time of the year. So really the feeling is what makes this exhibit so very special. Has the exhibit changed in those 5 years? Do you change any objects or any content, or it is as it was 5 years ago?
Not so much yet. I mean, we are doing the same thing in Estonian permanent exhibition, but Finno-Ugric collections are quite unique. Together with the conservators, we try to take care and clean, and this is the conservation service is doing weekly, to take care and to keep everything fine in the showcases, and we have just added some film material, but actually it's quite same as it was 5 years ago, and we do very many additional events and concerts and lectures and so on, and still the audience are coming back and back.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you would mention some of the programs which are connected to this particular exhibit.
Yes, well, no, one thing is, Anti, help me, just we have this just kind of hõimuklubi. How do you describe this community, somehow community movement in Estonia?
Yes, indeed. Hõimuklubi is the, so to say, Finno-Ugric club. We invite people who are the professionals in their field to tell us more about Finno-Ugric peoples from the scientific perspective, or simply from the cultural activist perspective. They give their lecturers people already like the core of this audience is fixed during the years, and audience can also like interact, ask questions, get to know more. We, in addition to lectures, we also have had special concerts streamed online. We have had just this evening, a few hours ago, we had an exceptional occasion when we had a video stream with an Udmurt community, 2,000 kilometers apart from us. And they introduced us their work with their local village museum. which is really interesting and inspiring. And in these COVID times, we have done many things also online. Also, as mentioned before already, that we have Finno-Ugric concerts. The annual most important one is at the Days of the Kindred People, which takes place on the third weekend of October. So then we don't only have people from our town of Tartu, but also guests from other parts of Estonia and other Finno-Ugric peoples as well, especially the performers that we are only very glad to host. And about the programs, we regularly do these educational programs for the children who get to know more about these peoples and their way of life, cultures, languages, and modern day situation.
And I saw that you made a traveling exhibit this year, because Paluoja was elected the culture capital for Finno-Ugric peoples, and were you involved in making this exhibit, this traveling exhibit?
Yes, we have one lovely small travel exhibition, Time Swift, Ajanihe, and this is really had a chance to do a whole tour around the Mulgimaa, South Estonia, actually over than 10 different places, libraries, different culture houses and the schools, and it was very important to us to cooperate with culture capital, Finno-Ugric culture capital in Paluoja and around. Another travel exhibition was hosted by Heinteli Museum close to Viljandi whole summer, and in Estonian National Museum gallery we had this very special project photo exhibition. Rahvas tähendab inimesi. How to say Anti in English that?
Yes. How it's translated into English is
yeah.
People means the people, or people is made up of people.
Yes, and this was very special project that we had a chance to get the very interesting photo collections and examples from 4 countries, from Russia, St. Petersburg, from Kansallismuseo, from Helsinki National Museum, from Helsinki, Finland, and we had cooperation with Hungary, also our partners, and it was an international project with 4 countries, and we published a very good book, and the curator is Indrek Jääts, our colleague from science department, and we really happy that we got this real, and we were very close to Ethnographical Museum collection St. Petersburg, and we found some very unique photos from 19th century, and it was a bit more open than half year, yes, no, even more, yes, and it was a special program to us because of the Finno-Ugric conference in June. It was worldwide conference, and it was one of these exhibitions. We hope to send exhibition also to abroad and overseas.
Yes, please. Toronto is waiting for some of your exciting exhibits. As always, would like to have them. So anyone in the audience, do you have got, yeah, Helle, please.
I would of course, I'm on the list, obviously, that I'm here today. But is there a common list for everybody that can reach what you are doing? A list of, in other words, where people can join?
Like email list.
Not, well, email, but the virtual events.
Okay.
Yes, yes, we have a newsletter. We can involve you to the newsletter, and you can follow what we are doing, which are the events also, and which are the exhibitions, and our topics and our main activities.
No,
Mhm.
but that's you're talking about Toronto,
No,
or from Estonia.
that was about Estonia now.
Yeah, this is what I'm interested in.
Yeah,
I think I'm getting the Toronto news, but I would very much like to be like the concerts and so on. I don't know if you're presenting them virtually or not. I'm from California, so I'm quite far away.
oh,
Well, that's why I put the palm tree up there, so you would identify with that.
that's
Very
why.
lovely. It's very rainy now in Estonia, but
Well,
I think
it's
we
still-
follow you, and I try to send if I find your email somewhere.
yeah, it's hkyrie@ucla.edu.
Mhm. If there are any other people who are interested to start getting those Estonian National Museum newsletters, you can send your email addresses to me, and my address is easy, piretnorni@gmail.com, and I can easily forward them to Antti or Christian.
Oh, okay, I was today at the seniors get together in LA, and as a matter of fact, Saturday we have the Corp Filia Patria 100-year anniversary, 1 year late, but so there are going to be a lot of people there, and of course I can share that information.
Best greetings to LA, and on Friday it's gonna be a large and huge gathering in Estonian National Museum main building, and Filia Patria is celebrating also this
100
mega Finno-Ugrians.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of people that are interested, you know, especially people who are not working anymore. So, and who have computers and know how to use them. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So very nice contact. Actually, and on the background, I see the question, and I would ask the question. Maybe some other people also thought, how many like online programs you offer now after we are almost out of this COVID restrictions everywhere? Because we really went very much online with demo programming. How it is for Estonian National Museum? How many programs there are? People like us can see from here where we are.
As for the school educational programs, we have worked out at least some that are have the technical capacity to also be like broadcasted online because of their content. But so far the schools have preferred to come like physically, be present, and museums themselves. So the number of actual programs that isn't that high that we actually do on a daily basis.
So, but we have done it sometimes also to Ruhnu Island, to Ruhnu pupils, and to Hiiumaa, and but in a moment, yes, I think we are able to do in a very special moment something, and people who are far away, and the technology helps us to do that also nowadays.
So maybe that's where we can cooperate and to prepare like similar meetings. I know that for you the timing is very difficult, but we could have them at the weekends when it's more easy to find a daytime which works for both parties. So maybe we should think something about the next project, how to, build this, keep this bridge, which we started building with this first attempt tonight here. But you probably doesn't stream your concerts or like theater shows, no?
Actually, the theater is other thing, but we are streaming time to time. Recently, we streamed some concerts by the music schools, music school studios, and also well-known guitar player, jazz artist. What was his name? Pisarenko, Oleg Pisarenko had a very nice stream together with Ide Jazz and Yatskar. And yes, we streamed together with the Irish Embassy. We streamed Global Greening online event a bit. And there are some concerts and also lectures has been when Wiedemann a prize was given also over, and yeah, Indrek Park have done very nice lecture already.
Yeah, and several other people also. Yes. For example, in the springtime when we again were closed because of the regulations, then streaming was almost like everyday thing for us.
And are those streamed events like available still on the web somewhere?
Just take a chat link. One very large scale is there.
Okay. Events and tours. Yeah, that's a good information to share with our people here, especially with those who still have to stay home and not too many places to go. So we should promote your activities more actively here as well.
I can share the YouTube link of the Estonian National Museum because we upload most of the content that we have streamed also there. So it's available at any time.
Okay, so if you would please send me by email those links, and then if people from our audience are interested, I can get your email and send you all those useful links. Or you can always go to their webpage and find it themselves, but they have lots of information there because they are a huge museum. And doing, I saw from somewhere like 600 events per year or something. It's really amazing number. So any other questions from our people from here? If not, now it's 3 a.m. in Estonia, and maybe we should say hea tööd ja suur tänu and let you guys go. I know that Christian was feeding Anti with some karaelbeküpsised and warm sandwiches, and Anti even has a place where to sleep at the museum tonight. So he has a really very special night, but Christian went home, as I can see. But we are so very grateful for your contribution, and we will share this tour video on Vemu YouTube channel as well, and Estonian Music Week probably also will promote it. And let's say that was only the beginning for our virtual cooperation and partnerships, and let's find some other interesting topics so we can meet you maybe beginning of next year again here on Zoom. Suur aitäh kõigile. Thanks to all the participants and especially to Anti and Christian. Head tööd.
Thank you and head tööd.